Omari, Total Media.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to UMTV. Today,
And it just got me into listening to a lot of records and just starting off being a DJ. And I was making my own mixtapes with the actual recording, recorder on or whatever, with the tapes or whatever, doing my own mixtapes, doing little parties and stuff like that, and just grew from there and just went into production. And from there, just started doing a lot of things, going to college and doing different things and different markets, and pretty much just started off at a young age.
so now your DJ skills really paid off for you.
Mm-hmm.
106 in Park.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that.
106 in Park was a crazy experience because when I did 106 in Park, I was a judge for Freestyle Friday. If anybody remembers Freestyle Fridays, that's like, and being in New York, all these big, humongous buildings and city lights and stuff like that. Until you get there and experience it, you can see it from TV, Instagram, or whatever. But when you get there, it's a crazy type of feeling. The subway and stuff like that. To answer your question, I was on there with Havoc from Mobb Deep. If anybody know Havoc from Mobb Deep, rest in peace, Prodigy. He was a guest as well, judge. So it was me, Havoc, and one other judge, and that just was like a surreal experience. And also was on Rap City, but on Rap City I had more of a instrumental role as far as being a DJ on there. So I had my own segment to where they would go back and forth, and I would DJ or whatever and play records and go to commercial. So 106 in Park was an experience, but as well as Rap City in the same production studio, but it was two different dates I had to go. So it was just like double the blessing to be able to go twice.
Now, just doing that and doing something that you really love and doing it on television and doing it with other celebrities, what was like one of your funnest moments?
I mean, one of my funnest moments, honestly, was from the DJ side. I DJ for a company called National Lampoon, and we did a spring break tour every year. We started out in Vegas. That's how I fell in love with Vegas, because I was in Vegas for a whole 30 days. I DJed like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I had the whole rest of the week to kind of get out, rent a car, go see family, check out Vegas. I love the weather because being from Chicago, I don't miss the snow, I don't miss the cold, and I got spoiled. I'm not going to lie, I got spoiled coming out to Vegas here for a whole month. All expenses paid, DJing for thousands of people. If anybody remembers Vegas at that time, it was a club called Rain at the Palms. They had Rain at the Palms. They had another spot called Tao, Sushi Roku at the time. And there's not a lot of things that I had done in that time at different clubs. I actually got to DJ on the side of Beastie Boys DJ as well. And that was like a big guy at the time that I paid homage to. And I DJ for Petey Pablo and Yin Yang Twins at the time. So it was just a lot of love at the time, DJing. It was a really, really good look.
So you're doing so many other things now. Do you still have an opportunity to DJ?
I'm DJing actually on Power 88. I just actually went back to Power 88 when I was out here in 2008. We did some stuff together as well as far as DJing on the radio, doing mix show DJ stuff. But now what I'm doing with Power 88 is I'm DJing. I'm also doing creative design. I'm doing their billboards, doing, promotional designs, flyers, stuff like that.
Okay, so the DJ stayed, that was your initiation and it stayed with you.
Yeah.
Now, how did you develop into the producing part of it?
Well, with DJing being my first love, it kind of gave me an angle of being a producer, because you had to produce certain joints that move the crowd, or 100% is like what the ladies love. That's, as a DJ, you knew what records to play. So knowing what records to play is what records you need to produce or try to produce as far as commercially. But stuff that I liked that might have been more gutter, more gangster for the guys, I would mix both. So if I want to do certain tracks, I would try to have certain tracks that would appeal to the top 40 crowd for the ladies, but also some of that gutter stuff for my guys as well. So DJing kind of gave me that intuition of what's the best kind of tracks to make, what's the best tempos and stuff like that.
Okay, so we started out DJing, we got into the DJing part, and then we went into the production. Now, you've worked with some pretty good names. CeCe Peniston, Montel Jordan, Dejan.
Jeezy, Lil
Jeezy. That's your...
Ludacris, Chingy, Shauna, just Ruben Studdard, you know what I'm saying, R. Kelly, Do or Die, just a lot of people from the crib, which is Chicago. And it's just the records that I kind of experienced the most, that I love the most, is homegrown stuff that I used to work with.
Right.
So for people from my actual city, I was born in Kankakee, Illinois. It's a guy named Arrogant. We had a song called Swing On Him that kind of got me more into that Chicago scene. And that kind of one of the songs I would do for my production before I got on. And it was a good look for that as well.
Well, now you know I'm from Chicago, so you know I got to shout out a little bit there.
Yeah.
And one thing that people overlook is that we have a lot of good music that comes out of Chicago. And people like always look to the East Coast and the West Coast, but the Midwest represents pretty good, don't you think?
And Chicago is that melting pot of everything. But I'm not going to lie, around the time when I was in high school, I gravitated more towards death row stuff. Now, I like East Coast stuff, but I was more into that West Coast vibe because I like the live instrumentation. I like the funk. I like the Dash production. At that time, it was like Dog Pound was really heavy. And my tape deck at the time on my CDs was like Death Row stuff, like 94 through 96. And when Tupac came to Death Row, it was over from there.
Right.
But I still love Biggie. I still love like the East Coast stuff, like the Noriegas and the Mobb Deeps and stuff like that. But from the Midwest, it was more of that funk that I was into when it came to music.
Right. Well, all of it is definitely paid off for you. So let's go to a brief break real quick, and then we're going to come back with more of DJ Voodoo Spellz.
Yes, ma'am.
And welcome back to UMTV. And today our special guest, DJ Voodoo Spellz. Now, of course, you know I have to ask this question. What does Voodoo Spellz mean?
Well, to keep it simple, voodoo, a lot of people look at it as a negative thing, right? First of all, my voodoo, the name voodoo was spelled differently. So it's spelled VUDU opposed to VOODOO. So I use a play on words as, a different spelling of the word, because some words in the English dictionary are spelled a certain type of way, but the other words are spelled a different way that sound the same have a different definition. So in my respect to my name, I learned how to move people through my music. So when I DJ, I sequence my music a certain type of way to make people either angry, sad, hype, or whatever. So I learned how to move people's bodies through music, not in a negative way to where I made them, I have a voodoo dial where you hit the dial or whatever with the voodoo and make it negative, or a spell, I put a positive spell. So my first name was DJ Voodoo, but when I looked at the trademarks and the copyrights, somebody had DJ Voodoo. So it was a blessing that I add the Spellz to it because nobody had Voodoo Spellz, but then it gives my name a better definition. I put a voodoo spell on people through my DJing and through my production. So if I send a rapper or artist a track, something that they come up with through their brain is a blessing from God as far as my music. My music gives them the intention or a vibe to make a track or make some music. So that's what Voodoo Spellz means.
And so now tell me, with your music and all the people that you work with, how do you keep a good, different creative process? What is your creative process?
I mean, honestly, I don't like to sound like anyone else, but what I do is I literally make like a gumbo of everything that I like, from the east, from the west, from the north to the south, from country music, from jazz, from hip hop, from even punk rock. Like certain things I listen to, I don't listen to the same thing every day. Honestly, I have to know what's hot to DJ, of course, but a lot of times I listen to jazz in my car because jazz is live instrumentation and it has nothing digital attached to it. So it's nothing mechanical, nothing computerized. It's more or less live instruments that I can listen to and listen to no lyrics. And with production, I focus on the music part of it. If my track can go in the club by itself without no lyrics on it, I know I'm doing a good job because people are tuned into my beat opposed to what's on the hook or what's on the lyrics.
What is your creative process when you're working with all these different celebrities and you're getting your music out there? What kind of creative process do you use to inspire you to get your music out, to get your music produced, to write it? What all do you do with that?
Well, as far as production, I have a big team of writers that I work with and other artists. Some of the artists that I work with that's not in my camp, we also work with other people as far as the creative process. And what I do is we'll either be in the studio vibing with tracks, or I'll send them like a beat pack. It's like a folder, nothing but tracks or whatever, and they'll go through those tracks, and then we'll collaborate together, and they'll take what they have in their brain, and they'll come back to me and say, okay, this is what I have. most of the artists I work with, I don't have to babysit them. So a lot of those artists, they come with something that I like, and then I'll produce it or I'll polish it up. But usually it's off of them sonically hearing one of my tracks and going from there, or we'll be in the studio and we'll come up with an idea. And usually it's based off of what I produce already. Now, I have produced tracks live in the studio with other people, but usually the process starts with me making a track that came from an idea, that came from my soul. And what I do is I take that track and send it out, and they go from there and have that move them from my tracks that they send, like via email.
So now, is it difficult working with celebrities, or is it the same, just working with music?
I mean, with celebrities, you do have egos and you do have creative collaborations that kind of go in a different way, because a lot of people have a certain way they want to have their music produced, or they have a certain vision. But I honestly, knock on wood, haven't had that issue as far as working with celebrities, because a lot of them, like I said, have kind of work off of the track and the idea they come up with. They're pretty much polished to where I don't have to do too much work as far as their creative content. But what I can say as far as celebrities, it's a different way in respect to homegrown artists, because homegrown artists, you got a chance to give them more of a polish and give them more of a direction, opposed to a celebrity that kind of already knows where they want to go with the record.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I got to touch on this. Being nominated for a Grammy, tell me about that. What was the initial, the meditative? What was it?
I mean, at that point, it was surreal, because, like, I have a unique story, because I had 2 Grammy nominations in the same month. And it's like, when you start off and your first record, it goes, my first production I was on officially as far as being a national recorded artist, my first record was Chingy. And that album went like double platinum in less than a year. But then right after that, the Ludacris situation, it was 2 albums. It was a compilation with Ludacris. Ludacris Presents Disturbing the Peace, which had Georgia on there, right? That was Phil Mob. And then first it wasn't Jamie Foxx. It was the original sample of Ray Charles at the time. And what happened was they leaked that record. They wasn't supposed to leak the record, but the DJ was like, F that, we playing this record, right? So they said, okay, we got to switch it up. We got to replay it. We got to do whatever we got to do to clear the sample. They go put Jamie Foxx on the record, right? So that's one record that came out that got a nomination for the 2007 Grammy part of. That's just one record. So I look at this, they send me the form or whatever, they send me the information, and that's one song for best rap collaboration of the year, right? And it's only 3 of the songs besides that song that's on there. So out of all these thousands of songs that's out there, me being a new producer, I'm blessed to get a nomination for my song, right? And the other songs that we're battling against is Nelly featuring Paul Wall, and Jermaine Dupri was Grills. So the Grills, I got to give it up to them. That song at that time was a really hot song. It knocked us out, but the nomination still stands, right? But at the same time, I'm like, okay, we didn't win Grammy for Georgia, so I'm like, man, I'm just blessed to be a part of the situation. But come around, Warning is, Release Therapy by Ludacris is nominated for Rap Album of the Year. So I'm killing everybody now. I'm the only person in my whole situation that can say I'm on a Grammy-nominated album for Best Rap Album. I didn't even care about winning, right? But come to find out of all the albums, that was on there, Ludacris wins that year. And my song is the very first song on the album. So if you didn't listen to that song before, or you didn't really care about Ludacris' album, now that the buzz is there, he won his Rap Album of the Year, who they get to listen to first? Me. And at the time, 2 Chainz was on the record, but right then at that time, he wasn't 2 Chainz. He was Titty Boy. So now it's just resurfaced to where it's just a blessing to be a part of the project. And that just blossomed from there.
Wow. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is awesome. And that's a lifetime, something that, wow.
And just to add on to that, not to cut you off, just to add on to that, I got chills on my spine because I got to see them perform that record on the Billboard Awards. So not only was it on the Grammys, this is another TV situation that I'm a part of, and I'm sitting back like, I'm at the crib. You know how you watch the Billboard Awards or the Grammys or MTV Awards, whatever, and you just looking, and when you come, you know, they know how to, they have the host or whatever, and you know, up next, Ludacris and Bobby Valentino, I think has son Jamie Foxx part because he was filming a movie. So this is just more star power associated with this record that, you know, I'm getting to see live. They're performing it live on the Billboard Awards. And I'm just going crazy at that point. I can't even believe it.
Wow. Well, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that. And I know there's more to come from that. So let's take a brief break really quick. And then I want to talk about you. I want to talk about that with you when you come back. And welcome back to UMTV. And today our special guest, DJ Voodoo Spellz.
Yo, yo.
So here's my question for you. I know you got projects coming up. What are they?
Of course, we got the 8-year-old, 9-year-old phenomenon, Little Jeezy, doing crazy things. Shout out to the manager, Dadager, Dijon. He's also an incredible artist and writer. That's one of the main projects that we got going on. He's been doing a lot of shows in Vegas, but his project is like a building block. We got about maybe 8 songs. I did about maybe 80% of those songs, but also my son did some production on his album as well. And we're still building that album. He's every song he does, he gets to get better and better and better. But besides Jeezy, I have another project coming out, my own personal project coming out on Universal. It's called Sexual Troubles Away. It's a single that I'm dropping, and it's featuring an artist, M Status, that I'm working with. I've been working with him for like over 15 years. But it's more of a stepping kind of vibe record. It's more about giving respect to the females and kind of showing appreciation, pretty much showing that whatever you're going through, we can make love and make it all go away. More or less, it's not a derogatory record. It's not a tasteless record. It's a tasteful record, and it's going to be released probably March or April, probably second and third quarter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you are very, very busy. I always see you in the community. You're always doing things. Tell me about your hashtag.
Okay, yeah. Hashtag responsible rap. Responsible rap in detail is more. I'm not telling rappers that they can't talk about this, they can't talk about that. But my thing is, we got to be more responsible with our lyrics and what we're doing right now. We got a lot of things going on as far as these RICO cases, these indictments, people killing each other. We have rappers dying every single week, every single day. And, you know, shout out to, you know, Gangsta Buddha just passed away like the 1st of January. Not saying her raps wasn't responsible, but when you look at your lifestyle and the seeds that you plant, you reap what you sow, what you say, and what you do. It can be via text, it can be via lyrics. And when people out here dying from fentanyl and stuff like this, you know, you have to be careful the kind of message that you're sending to these younger people as far as what's respectable, what's cool to do, what's not cool to do. And when you rap about something, I'm not saying not rap about the bad, but put in some of the good as well. Balance it out. You can say, I killed somebody, and people don't look at that as being shocking anymore. People can say, I'm smoking on whatever, and it's like nobody is shocked about you talking about who you killed. And my thing is, if you're going to talk about something negative, show the positive, but also show the consequences of what happened. We're seeing the consequences of what's happening right now in real time with like the whole Young Thug case and other RICO cases and stuff like that. And I don't want to see, you know, rappers like Dolph get killed and nobody just doesn't care, or these rappers that come up, you like, I don't care about that rapper because I never knew he was out before. Every soul, every person, it was somebody's brother, somebody's auntie, somebody's sister, somebody's father, and we got to respect everybody for their death and their life. And the raps and the lyrics, I want people to get back to that point to where we party a little bit more and we show more love to, you know, our mothers and our fathers and give some type of difference. I mean, everything is starting to sound the same to the point where if I was a DJ at a party and DJ for some kids from like the ages of 8 to 20 or 8 to 12 or whatever, let's say if I DJ a party for some kids or even a prom, I can't even play the clean version because the clean version, the teachers is like, even the clean version is bad. So as a DJ, I just want people to be more responsible with their raps in respect to us killing each other and the sexual connotations as disrespect to women. Like, it gets to a point where enough is enough.
Wow, it's about time somebody took responsibility and tried to do something about that. And you also are very, very active in your community. Tell me about some of the different projects you've done. I've seen them, but I would like for you to tell.
We got a foundation called Taking Back the Block Foundation, and that's head up by my big brother Robert Straughter. He's one of the first hip hop rappers to run for Congress. And what we do, we go back to the community. We do like Halloween parties, block parties, toy drives, food drives, book drives, stuff like that. And we give these kids a platform to perform at these events. And we also just did the last event was the inauguration of the new sheriff in Las Vegas. We did his swearing in ceremony, and Jeezy performed as well. Some other artists, a little kid named Bibbidi Bop that's about 11 years old. And what we do is we just give back, and we try to like go back to where people came from to show that you can make it out of a certain situation. But also inside that program is a program called Hip Hop Entrepreneurship Program. And what that does is it shows kids that within hip hop, there's over 20 to 30 different jobs that lie inside of the hip hop genre that kids can learn how to be a producer, a writer, an accountant, even as much as being a barber. Like, you got a lot of people that don't think, well, I can't make it big. Yes, you can. You can be a stylist. You can be a barber. You can be a person that does somebody's eyebrows. Like, a lot of people don't understand. Nicki Minaj and all these different people have a lot of different people around them that, and her money and her success feeds people. So we want to show people how to own their own publishing, know how to own their own company, how to know the ins and outs of hip hop as far as the music and the business. And what I've heard before that I also delegate for my people and let them know, this business is 90% business, 10% talent. It's not about how hot your record is, and if you feel this should be on the radio, this is a dope record. It's not about that. It's about business. And in this business, if you have the investment to push this car, it's like the music label or your label is a car, but you have to put gas in it. And once the gas is empty, that's it. And that's how the game is.
Wow. You're really doing a lot. So I'm really proud of you, and the community needs it. The community loves you. I see your post out, and I want you to let the viewers know how they can contact you if they're interested in assisting, or, if they want to come to your events. How do they contact you?
Okay, the best way is honestly directly would be to email me, and that would be Voodoo Spellz promo at gmail.com, and it's spelled VUDU SPELLZ as in zebra at gmail. I'm sorry, Voodoo Spellz promo, VUDU SPELLZ promo, PROMO at gmail.com. But another way, which y'all kind of see, when I'm online, is my Instagram, which is at Voodoo Spellz. And then my Facebook is at Voodoo Spellz. Then I have a like page is at Voodoo Spellz Entertainment. But when you go on there, you'll see my logo once you type in Voodoo Spellz. It's a very unique name, and you'll see it on there.
All right. So now that's how everyone can contact you, and that is also where they can get information on hashtag responsible.
Exactly.
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram is more of the campaign that I'm doing for the responsible rap. And if you hashtag responsible rap, you can kind of search a lot of things that are, detailed on the Instagram and the Facebook. And any of the posts will have responsible rap on there as well.
That's awesome. So with all of that, at the end of the day, do you feel that you've accomplished what you set out to do, or do you feel like you have way more left to go?
I mean, to answer that question, honestly, I kind of get complacent because I've done so much that I feel like I don't want to speak about negative, because I was about to say something negative, but I'm gonna flip it around. No matter how long I live, what I've already done in my life, I've done enough to not do anything else ever again. But I feel like I've never done anything. So it's pressure because I have to continue doing the same thing. But with my son being like 23 right now and him producing and doing things like that, he's a reincarnation of me. So if I never produce another record, if I just sit back and be the father and executive produce, my son and my daughter are doing their thing, and I've already planted that seed that's going to grow. My daughter just released her first video, and she executive produced that. She wrote it. She did everything on her own because she didn't want dad to be the reason why people say, oh, well, you doing this because of your dad. She wanted everything to be on her own. So my daughter doing music, she doing videos, she doing her own creative content, my son producing. I could just sit back and retire right now and let them do them and let my foundations, other things I'm doing blossom and just be behind the scenes. But to me, I just got this eager tendency to want to continue to create. That's why I continue to create. But to answer your question, I feel like I've overachieved what I set out to do. And with my kids, it's just a whole nother level.
Wow. Well, with that being said, we're going to go to a brief break and we're going to come right back with more of DJ Voodoo Spellz. And welcome back to UMTV. And today, our special guest, the multi-talented DJ Voodoo Spellz. So, this is the segment where I normally just like kind of let you tell me what you want to tell me about you, but I do want to ask you, in 5 years, where do you see yourself?
In 5 years, I mean, this is a positive manifestation I want to put out into the universe. I want to continue creating jobs for people through doing what they love to do. So I want to get to the point to where every day I get up, I can do exactly what I want to do in respect to creating and doing things musically, and as far as video as well. I can do exactly what I want to do and live comfortable on a financial level. I don't have to worry about anything except that. I have that privilege to doing that. But also, when I talk about creating jobs, I want to continue to create as far as musically, releasing music and having people be able to be content creators, get paid for it, go on tour. Also, anything that surrounds an artist, doing their video, doing a short film, doing tours, just like the hip hop entrepreneurship program is bringing people to the forefront to be a part of this one artist and having them grow, and doing that for several different artists. Going back to the community and finding artists that need, artist development. And when in a 5-year term, focusing on one project that blows to the point where it brings everybody up at the same time. And then also, I want to get into the situation of, taking back the block in a positive way, as far as going back and getting older properties that can be flipped and brought to life and remodeled to where we can put low income housing into play, and having to where if you have an issue trying to get a house, we have a plan to where you're trying to get on your feet. You can live in something nice and not have to live in something that's beat up, and just grow yourself up and try to find a way to have a good plan to get out of your situation. So, in 5 years, that should be something that's reasonable and realistic.
Wow. And that's very positive, very, very positive. So tell us something that we don't know about you that we should know or we would love to know.
Me and you had discussed this before, but the public doesn't know, because we agree on the same thing. I'm addicted to cooking shows. Like, I love to cook, but I don't like cooking for people.
Right.
Like, I love to cook for my family, but if you put me on the show and the competition and all this stuff, and then I got people hollering at me and yelling at me, and I got to do it in 60 minutes, I'm not trying to do all that. But I love watching those shows, getting ideas and just, learning new tricks, learning about different proteins and different ways to cook things, vegan or whatever. Like, I love cooking shows, and I get to the point where I got to turn this off. I got to do stuff. I got to stop, but I get addicted to it.
It's addictive.
Yeah, other people like reality shows, like, Love and Hip Hop. I'm into the cooking shows.
Okay, so what's the best dish that you've developed from watching one of those shows?
Oh my God. I would have to say homemade pasta.
Really?
Yeah, it's difficult, but at the same time, once you learn it, it becomes a second nature. But I'm not trying to do all the pastas, but I can do my basic stuff, and take it from there to be all natural. Like, as far as, like, let's say Alfredo sauce. My daughter actually put me onto this. She was like, Dad, don't stop buying the can. Stop buying the jar. Do it yourself. So when I learned how to do that, it just gave me a different appreciation for fresh ingredients, and like, it's this one guy that's on YouTube that I also check out. And like for example, yesterday I did a shrimp po' boy, right? I'm thinking I can do that, but I don't feel like doing it. But when I got into doing it, it was so easy. I'm like, I could have been doing this.
Right.
Just knocked it out.
Right. And I think the thing people forget is cooking takes time. And you have to be in a mind frame to do it, just like with anything else. You have to be in a mind frame to do it. Because if you're not, it's not going to come out good. So,
right.
Okay, as we're closing up, I want to give you this opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to the viewers. If it's something about you, if it's something about the industry, if it's something just as a message that you want to get out there, I give you this time to do that.
In closing, I want to tell everybody that's inspired to do this, no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, do not stop and continue to network and stay positive. And the one thing I want you to do is invest in yourself. Bet on you. If you don't have a lot of money to do what you got to do, focus on somebody that appreciates who you are and what you do, and have somebody to invest in you, because it's not about the music, it's about the business. And once you get somebody to support you and love what you do, you can always get better. Take piano lessons, take guitar lessons, take music theory, go to school for it. But when you know your music is what it is, have somebody or yourself invest in you to go to another level, because at that point, you can't be stopped.
Well, that's awesome advice. So, one more time, give your contact information for everything.
Okay, for email, you can email me at voodoospellzpromo@gmail.com. That's VUDUSPELLZPROMO@gmail.com. And then also my social media is at Voodoo Spellz, at VUDUSPELLZ. That's Instagram, that's Facebook. I don't be on Twitter as much, but I do have a Twitter, which is Voodoo Spellz World. And TikTok is also Voodoo Spellz. So those four is pretty much Voodoo Spellz. And when you start typing, it'll come up.
All right. And where can they listen to you at?
Power 88. Big shout out to Power 88 Las Vegas. We have Freestyle Fridays at Boulder City every Friday. Most of the time I'm on first Friday, and we lit every Friday regardless. But Boulder Station of Power 88, we're doing it big over there. And much love to everybody in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that's been holding me down for forever. My hometown, Kankakee, Illinois. Let's go.
All right. So I want to thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today, sharing your story with us. We've been listening to two-time Grammy-accredited producer, DJ, entrepreneur, all-around good guy, DJ Voodoo Spellz. Thank you so much for coming.
UMTV. Uncle Mari. Total Media.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to UMTV. Today we have, this young man wears so many hats. Let me see. We have an extraordinary young man, a legendary man in the house today. We have Mr. Terry T, Mr. Community. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So now there's so much that we need to cover. We're going to start at the beginning. We're going to go all the way back to the day of DJing. Let's talk back in the day, and let's bring it up to producing.
Okay. 1981, I was 11 years old, first pair of turntables, Technic 1200 turntables. I looked up to New York hip-hop. At the time was Kool Herc, Grandmaster Flash, Curtis Blow. 11 years old, you couldn't do much. I was only in the, fifth grade? Fifth grade. So DJing house parties, DJing proms, anything that it took, all that while playing still music and sports. I would say that was my beginning. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so 11 years old, and we're mixing on turntables and everything. How did you know what the older folks wanted to listen to, the teenagers?
I don't know. God touched me, and whatever I go, the energy just translates. A lot from just listening to records that my brothers, sisters had. Elementary school. My dad is a youth baseball president and coach of like 50 years. So I grew up on watching my elders. My elders back then was people actually in high school. So I already knew what everybody was relating to. Mind you, when you're 11, I'm not playing with toys. I'm playing with the big boys. So, yeah, you just know. You just know.
Okay, so you also are an artist in your own right. So let's talk about Terry T, the artist.
Well, I started with my cousin MCN and a guy named Ant Banks that most people know now for producing Too Short, but that's my childhood group. A lot of people don't know that. So back then, it was three of us, me, my cousin MCN, and then a guy named Ant Banks. Unfortunately, we were teenagers. The world didn't know what they were doing. I put together a marketing plan. We was in 36 states. We were 16 years old. And from that album, a struggling guy named John Singleton shot our first video. It was amazing. And later on, we sold about 100,000 independently back then. That's like going triple platinum now. And MC Annie got killed, gun violence. And from there, me and Aunt Banks had to figure out where we was going to go from there. And unfortunately, R.I.P. MC Annie. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So what drove you to keep pushing forward from the young age? Because, you know, sometimes it starts off, you're doing things when you're young, and as you go into your late teens, adulthood, life happens and you just can't pursue it. So what gave you that push to keep pursuing?
Because it wasn't over. Life is an elevator. I'm going to get to the penthouse. You just drop things off as you go and you get there. You know, when you, my whole life was music, sports, and community. That doesn't change for anybody. When we're doing things back then, we don't know how it's going to pan out. We just know we're special. In Oakland, California, we had a lot of good people come out of there, but we like to say per capita, we're very special with Oakland, with, you know, with music, sports. So if it makes sense back then, you're guided. I was just guided through faith back then. We don't worry about outcomes. We take the edge off of everything. We just do what we feel, how we feel. We don't try and move the needle. We are the needle. That's the confidence that we had to have back then, especially when you're dealing with New York that's running it. You couldn't even get on they're going to boo you at the Apollo stage before you even say your name back then. So you have to understand the confidence that I have to have, that I still carry with me today, that stood me up back then.
All right. So now we've come through the DJ process. As an artist, what did you enjoy most about being an artist and working with something so like an opportunity of the Sons of Soul album?
Well, true story. So Raphael, you guys know him as Raphael Sadiq now. He gives me a call, and the Tony was just transitioning from their second album of producing their own album, which was the Sons of Soul album, which later becomes Anniversary, Lay Your Head on My Pillow. Raphael gives me a call. He said, listen, Terry T, come down here, man. Just come down here with me. We're about to start this album, bring that hip-hop flavor to what we're doing. That's how I became a protege of Tony, starting with Raphael Sadiq.
Now, also, working with the Tonys, that's one thing, but there's a young lady that you also started off, and I think young people, old people, everybody kind of knows that young lady. Could you kind of talk to us about that a little bit?
Well, before I get to her and many others, I transitioned from the Tony, the album, to a gentleman named Dwayne Wiggins, the founder of Tony. He had a company, was just starting it off, and he comes to me as a partner and says, I would like for you to be a part of this company. So he starts his own company called Grassroots Entertainment. It's just me and him. From that, we signed a group named Girls Time that was Destiny's Child. That turns into Beyonce in '94. So we got Destiny's Child. So I helped develop them at 14 years old, first 3 albums. A young lady at the time was in our studio. Her name was Keisha Cole. We had her. We had a young lady named Alicia Keys. She was 17. Worked with her. A young lady named India Irie. A young lady that's out now, her name is Her, Gabby Wilson. She was with us as well. A young lady named Kaylani, a little later. She was with us. I also worked with Jamie Foxx. Yeah, so I was just an engine to the good-looking car. You have to understand that when you working with Tony, I'm just kind of like that teacher and coach that you pull for, where everybody knows because I'm in the credits, but the world is not trained really to acknowledge me or celebrate me because I'm in the credits and I'm doing all of the dirty work. I raise them, you praise them. That's how I look at it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I didn't get to use that. I was gonna use the engine to the good-looking car, and I missed that part, but I like that. That's always good. You have been really, really blessed, and you have worked with people that just one name out of the group that you've mentioned, people would just be like, oh my gosh. How do you not let the who you're working with affect you as far as what you're doing with your product? And you know, do you look at them as in, okay, you're Beyonce, but you are going to learn this, and you go that way? Or have you ever gotten starstruck?
How could you? Because you're developing it.
I know.
That's like you getting starstruck for your children. See, when you build something, when you build something, see, and this is my model, is that I never hop on the bandwagon, I build the tracks. So if you notice everything that I was a part of, I helped build it. It's if anything, I put the energy on them. Remember, they're 14, they're 17. People don't understand that when Destiny Out got their deal through Grassroots, it took us 2 years. We moved them to Oakland, California. So we're walking around high school with barrettes, and no, I'm in the real development phase. See, so what I do is, I would say what offset me, and we'll get to that, is my family has a legacy of 80 years in the community. So I'm not looked at as a music producer. I'm looked at as a whole person. So if anything, when they leave me, they know that they're going to be raised if they need to. I support them in areas that they need to, but I'm real tough love. That's what gets me through, is that I speak what needs to be said. I produce you how you need to be produced. I don't cater to nobody but God, and that comes across very, very well. If they can get through my boot camp phase, they're going to be successful, period. And it's not just me. It's a lot of people that's touched these people. But I will say, parents, teachers, coaches, essential workers, look at me as one of those just to the music industry. You know what I mean? It's that simple. I do not look the part. But people are trained to be a groupie to what the part looks like. TV, jewelry, I had that too. But I would put my donkey ropes in the trunk and go coach that next young girl and put 100 into college. So I used to challenge the music industry and say, money ain't nothing if your soul ain't worth a dime. Copywriting that one too.
That is awesome. All right, we're going to go to a brief break, and we're going to come back with more of the legendary Mr. Terry T, Mr. Community.
Appreciate it.
And welcome back to UMTV. And today, Mr. Terry T, Mr. Community. So I know you hear me say Mr. Terry T, Mr. Community. We're going to get to that. And first, I wanted to say, I met Mr. Terry T through Bip Roberts, and they had a program they were working, and Bip Roberts, baseball player, he was saying, I need you to meet this young man because he's doing a lot of things in the community. And I was like, sure, okay, yeah. And so when I met him, a wealth of knowledge, just a wealth of knowledge. And so we've talked, and we do talk often in regards to this next project that we're going to talk about. And so I would like to ask you, how did you come up with Youth Sports Nation? And first and foremost, how did Mr. Community become the mascot for that?
All right, true story. Everything I say is true. So I'm with a group named Tony, because here we go. I'm the music producer, writer, and I'm the only person that they trust. So they fired the road manager. Next thing I'm the road manager, because I used to wake up the road manager because I didn't do no drugs. I was focused. And next I'm the band director. I'm just everything at this point for the Tonys. But the part I didn't leave out was, where everybody was Hollywood, I was community good. So I was always a direct service coach. I was always just grounded. And about 5-6 years ago, I had 2 parts to why I created Mr. Community. One was social media distractions with children. 2, corporate exploitation and their marketing violence, sex, money, and drugs to children. I had a problem with that. Because it used to be when you had a party, your parents was in the front room and the kids was in the little room. Now the kids go from the little room to the big room, which is inappropriate. So 2 parts to that. I'm on stage with Tony, and one night when I was supposed to rap Feels Good and do the rap, I started talking about the community, right? I was also on tour with members of New Edition, Ralph, Bobby Brown, and Johnny Gill. And it was Bobby Brown that told me, he said, man, you are my Mr. Community. Then I got a best friend, childhood friend named Lil D, Daryl Lil D Reed, and did about 20 years, and I used to go see him in the feds. And he told me, he said, you've always built everybody else in the world. Build yourself. I was like, how can I do that? He said, become Mr. Community. So I literally walked off the stage on my own terms, on good terms with everybody, and built this character called Mr. Community. Something that we don't have, a modern day Mr. Rogers with swag, like the Street Sesame Streets we never had. And I put a 5-year plan together and started not over, but built literally Mr. Community. So now parents, teachers, coaches would have a trusting model. When I see all these mascots out there, when I see people that's selling these negative messages to children, I knew that if I produced myself, like every other person, a couple of reasons, I could control the narrative. 2, it's really me. That was my starting point. How I get to Youth Sports Nation is I'm at a baseball field, and it's a guy named Ricky Henderson. He's really, really good. Hall of Famer, big time. And a kid walks up to him and said, "Who are you? I heard you was fast." Then I was at the baseball field, and I'm with a parent, and I was with a parent, and the coach brings a kid over, and a professional football player comes to the field. The kid asked the football player for an autograph, and the coach sarcastically said, "What about me? What about my autograph?" The kid turned around to him at 7 years old and said, "You ain't nobody. You ain't no superstar. You ain't on TV." Coach looked at me and said, "Terry T, we need to do something." See, so everything I do, I listen to the community. The community makes me. I don't make the community, and I serve them. So then I said that professional athletes and entertainers are not acknowledged. We have no equity. These guys are Hall of Famers. These guys are this, and I'm that, and I walk in the room, and I'm not saying you should know me, but in the African-American community, we have not done a great job at selling our history and letting these youngsters know where they come from. So I knew that I would be that bridge through God to bring history back, to bring positive messaging back, and bring equity back through community and economic development. Straight up.
All right. So you have been a sports coach, a mentor. You develop youth programs. Let's talk Youth Sports Nation, and let's talk about what you do in the schools, what you do with the children. You have a grandpa figure that's with you as well, very prominent, that works with you. So can we kind of just summarize your program, please?
So Youth Sports Nation, we support public and educational systems. So there's tiers to any city that moves around, and that's all strategy with me. So wherever you go, you have school districts, you have park and recreation systems, you have youth sports organizations, you have your professional sports teams, you have dioceses, right? So I work with all of them. So what I did was prove to my friends that Mr. Community can be at a stadium and sign autographs for 10,000 children without selling violence, sex, money, and drugs. What I did was produce the same music, but now it's get your education. Now I call my friend, you know him as Lenny Williams, formerly of Tower of Power. He's singing Love Your Parents, like a We Are the World project all over again. And now how the legends get involved with me is I take back then, Bill Russell, RIP, or Joe Morgan, that endorses it, and I created Youth Sports Nation. So now we're athletes and entertainers, and I put together the structure, almost like a union. I put together the structure. Now the guys are able to come in my area where I'm Mr. Community. I'm fired up, you fired up. Yeah, I'm teaching values. And now it increases parent engagement because the parents have grown up on a Bip Roberts, on a Lenny Williams. It's a perfect match. And I only say that because I'm proud because traditionally, a lot of people know when to call us when there's a campaign. When you're doing a Super Bowl, who do you call? Entertainment. When you're running a campaign, when you need an autograph, when you need memorabilia, who do you call? You call the entertainer. I want to make sure that I put structure to it so I can look them in the eye and say, we're here too, we want in, and that's how it got started. So we mobilized, engaged about 1 million families. I still serve about 10,000 youth directly, and it's cross sport, in schools, in counties. I'm in county fairs. I'm everywhere. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I want to take a brief break, and then I want to come back and I want to talk more Youth Sports Nation.
What's up?
And welcome back to UMTV. And today, the talented and legendary Mr. Terry T, Mr. Community. Now, before we go any further, I wanted to kind of finish up with the Youth Sports Nation.
All right.
And so this is a program for young people.
Everybody.
For everyone.
So it's youth, respective parents, and elders are my fans. Some of my fans are 5, some are literally 95. Yeah, I just want to throw that out there.
All right. And this is a community organization. Goals. I know we have goals and meanings behind those goals that you have.
Right. So my first goal is to set a 3 to 5 year plan, and I had to check box everything. Sat down with John Madden and the guys. They would say, you go penetrate public educational systems as an LLC. Look them in the eye. Make them respect you. Make them pay you. So I've done that. So 5 years. So now I'm turning the curve on 5 years. My goal is just to scale Mr. Community. He needs to be global now. See, proof of concept regionally, done. Check the boxes, done. And I treated myself like every other person I produce. Same blueprint. I just put myself through it.
All right. You have parents yelling for Lenny Williams, but you have children yelling for Grandpa Williams. So you merged that beautifully, where the parents want to come because they want the kids to go, but they really need to go. So that was brilliant in
Thank
merging that. Some of the celebrities that you work with tons of celebrities. Can you give me an example of a typical day in trying to? Well, you're a celebrity, so how?
Right.
So how?
We have a locker room. We have a locker room.
So celebrity to celebrity, how do you have a typical day with, say, the Alicia Keys or Jamie Foxx?
It depends on the project. Alicia Keys, what we call one-offs. They send her down from New York. We work with her. We do what we can. She's a one-off. Destiny's Child was 2 years. We move them, still have report cards, homeschool them, develop them. People don't know Beyonce has to wake up every single day and be on a schedule and take opera lessons, take lessons. So the days vary based on the artist you would name.
Wow.
Development is different from scope of services. Somebody calls us and say, we have a young lady, we're talking to you from Motown. Her name is Indy Iree. Young lady with a guitar. We want you to work with her for 2 weeks. Or Karen White says, I love the Tonys. I'm going to move across the street from you, and I'm going to work with you. I'm going to make sure I work with you. And then we have a Keisha Cole, where we may develop you, but we may not get you the deal. You know, I was Big Bro. I tell her, go to L.A., get your deal. She meets Damian Elliott. Next thing you know, she's Keisha Cole. They all have different stories. So if you give me the artist, I would tell you that story, but it varies so much. Now, Jamie Foxx, interesting story. My father is the mecca of baseball in the community. He coaches everybody. I watched my father drive around in the El Camino truck. He used to drive around, and I didn't know what he was doing. He used to just take black boys, put them in the back of his truck, take them to the baseball field, and give them a glove. One of those kids that he mentored was called Marcus King, which is Jamie Foxx's manager. You ever saw the King Towers, the Jamie Foxx King Tower? That guy Marcus King played for my dad, who I've been knowing since he was 5. So my father was his second father, which becomes Jamie Foxx's manager. So next year I work with Jamie Foxx in 1993.
Wow.
Living color.
Oh, yeah.
So if you notice, I'm always there from the beginning, regardless of what they become. Jamie Foxx is the most nicest, humblest man you will ever meet. You talk about work ethic, goes to a movie, come back, get in the studio, nothing but family around. Nothing but family around. Very talented in music. He's very underrated in music. He did get his album off. He done very well. But he is one of the best human beings I've been around.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that about him. They see what they see, but I know what I know. And he is the most nicest, talented, multi-talented, best human beings I've ever been around.
Wow.
Him and Bobby Brown from New Edition.
Well, now Bobby would have the bad boy image kind of thing going. And so,
Bobby Brown is a person like me. He grew up in his environment of inner city, and there's a lot of things that people underestimate that goes on in the inner city during our days. And Bobby Brown, along with Alicia, Bobby Brown is one of the most nicest people you'll ever meet, but he reminds me of myself differently. He moves to his own beat. And people like us, you don't try and control us. I learned this. With talent, you have to develop it and you have to share it. You cannot get in the way. So people like him, whether it's him, Kanye, whatever, I'm just telling you, it's people that's trying to control them. They have their own way of doing things. It may not be popular on how they want to do it, but it's not for us to judge them. Internally, Bobby Brown, most nicest, generous people you'll ever meet, and he's real. Yeah.
What do you see as the biggest difference from artists of, as you started in 1981, up to modern day today, what do you find is the biggest difference in the artists themselves?
Okay, so there's two parts to it. The positive thing is the new generation have opportunity that we never had. We never had internet. We never. Now you can kind of manipulate your way a little bit through society, because we had to do house parties and go through what you call a protocol. Now the new generations is actually the whole record company, because they're their own marketers, they're their own developers. Now, so the younger generation is economically going to do way better. Kind of like Bill Russell. He has 11 championships, probably never made more than $100,000 a year, but he still hands that trophy to LeBron James. So I treat the young generation like that. I'm just handing a trophy to you, and I mentor a lot of them behind the scenes, because they don't have what we have,
Right.
and we don't have what they have. So I like to learn. I would say that they're a lot more forward thinking, but they're a lot more reliable on the same things we never had to rely on.
So, do you think that the new generation, do you think they have the same value that the old school had, because it came to them so much easier?
Absolutely not. It's impossible to have values when you've given some. If somebody would have handed me the internet back then, I wouldn't have the same values. Just speaking the truth, it's no way in the world, because it's too easy. You can get a computer for $200 and do a Lisa beat and be a star. That was impossible. Our budgets was $500,000. You had to go through a process. So there's two edges to every sword.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Excellent.
You know, they're going to make quicker money. But we believe in more is not better, better is better. Quality over quantity. The biggest artists that ever lived to do it, and what I believe in, is you let everybody run a sprint and you run a marathon. I think we live in a world where people are so insecure that they have to post every 2 seconds. They have to block their insecurities by showing you things or cut and pasting somebody else's situation or whatever. It's all over the place. Now the youngsters, I don't mind, but the social media distractions can become a problem when a kid is 6 years old, and then a kid is saying, instead of being a doctor or a lawyer, I want to be an influencer. I think that could be a problem. Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
I think they're too young for that. I don't think it's age appropriate.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we go to our final segment, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone that wanted to come into the industry, and this would be like a very pertinent piece of advice that they need?
Well, I could tell you one thing that worked for everybody who I mentor is let it choose you, don't choose it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of people force themselves to be something they weren't meant to be. And the world knows it because it's not authentic, which means that you may eat a little grape, but I like eating part of the watermelon. It's much bigger. It doesn't matter. Even the devil can give you some opportunity, some money. It's what do you risk and what are you willing to sell to get the opportunity? So what do you value? See, I never value revenue and recognition. So I would say, don't value revenue and recognition. Value what you are here to do and follow that pathway and be willing to do what we did. We never followed trends. We were the trend. I think that's one thing that is missing. I think that's the one thing that the youngsters love me for telling them this. And a lot of them actually rethink what they're doing. Because still, only 0.1% is still going to make it no matter how you shape it. Some people just going to die in between. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's deep.
That's okay.
Deep enough,
It's
we're
real.
going to go to a break.
It's real.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. We're going to go to a brief break, and then we're going to come back with more of Mr. Terry T, Mr. Community. And welcome back to UMTV. And today, our special guest, Mr. Community, Terry T. So, during the break, we had a few questions, and we didn't finish all the questions, but I know you think, wow, it's just the two of them here. It is, sort of, maybe. But before we go into our conclusion, what was the question?
One of my questions were, is there anything that you want to clear up that has been mistaken by, like, the public when it comes to, like, how music's being produced or how, like, the business works?
Clear up. So when you say clear up how it works, I think there's no misinterpretation how it works. You know, I think it's no misinterpretation how it works. I think it works how it works, and it should work how it works. I don't think that we should penalize you guys because you have resources. I just think that you guys should show respect to your elders and who paved the way, because there would be no revenue generated if Sugar Hill Records was not created. Now you go to other cultures, they understand who their heroes are. And it just seems like when we get to specifically the African-American community, and I'm going to tell you, one executive told me this. He said, what's the difference between other cultures? They're legends. African-Americans are has-beens. Because you replace them, you're not committed to them. It's the only thing that I would touch on in terms of probably the most misunderstood person to the public based on the material he makes is my friend Too Short. Yeah.
Okay, so now I want to kind of go to a different direction. I want to give you this segment to be able to do what you would like to in regards of telling us anything that we haven't covered. However, I want to talk Hip Hop Alliance's Youth Sports Nation.
Okay, so Hip Hop Alliance is the first ever unionized platform for hip hop. So it was founded by, just example, not all, but Chuck D, KRS-One, and my mentor, his name is Curtis Blow. So Grandmaster Melly Mel himself, I ran into him while I was with the Tonys on a cruise. He saw Mr. Community about 3-4 years ago. I get a call from Melly Mel. He said, Terry T, I said, what's up, He said, it's time. He said, what? They done started this Hip Hop Alliance. It's a movement. You already have a model, and we feel as though that you can help us benefit specifically through community engagement. So they just, not too long ago, appointed me to the National Advisory Board, Curtis Blow himself. So that's an honor. Yeah.
So now I know both programs. I know Youth Sports Nation and I know Hip Hop Alliance. I've talked with Curtis and his crew as well. I think it's a brilliant idea. I want you to take this time and just tell the viewers what you want them to know in regards to yourself, Mr. Community, your programs, the merging of the Hip Hop Alliance
And Mr. Community.
and Mr. Community, and just in your own words, I want you to finish us out and tell us what you want us to know.
Well, okay. Well, in terms of who Terry T. Mr. Community is, he's just a genuine good person that has walked many, many miles in a good way. And I am structured. I restructured myself to serve where I come from, the people, specifically parents, teachers, coaches, essential workers, and then all of the people who I've worked with, music and sports, be a trusting bridge to all cultures and generations. That's what I would say who Terry T. Mr. Community is. The rest is to be continued with God. It doesn't matter where I know where I'm going in terms of how do I specifically align with Hip Hop Alliance. You have two different versions. You have what they see and you have what I see, and then the third one to be is what we'll see. We're still in talks. They look at me like a community mascot because what I just did with Youth Sports Nation, I'm going to give my life existence to Hip Hop Alliance because hip hop and helping children literally saved my life. So that's paying my tithes to my elders and the forefathers that made up this thing called hip hop. Yes, that's what I would say. I would finish with, I want to give props to Too Short, my friend Todd Shaw. Not the most colorful lyrics but we're so close. Oakland just did a street naming after him, right at my old alma mater, my high school, and so Too Short just got a whole street named after him. Me and him are able to coexist because, again, we all walk different pathways, but we all come together again for the people. So I did want to give props out to Todd Shaw. Y'all know him as Too Short, one of the most nicest people and fairest businessman you'll ever meet.
Well, I just want to say that I greatly appreciate getting this opportunity to actually sit face to face as opposed to just over the radio and talking that way. I appreciate you taking your time to come out and do this with me. I also want to let you close out the show with whatever advice or words that you want to give. And I hope that we get an opportunity. We talk all the time, so I hope we get another opportunity to do a show like this because it's very informative. And, you know, people get a chance to see and hear things that you can't read in social media, and you get it from the horse's mouth, you know. So I appreciate the clarity in the things that you've said and the encouragement in the words that you've said. So with that being said from me, as we close out, I give you the closing words.
Well, I don't do a lot of public interviews for a reason, is that I have a vault of information that's been between me and God for a long time. But it was Lil D, Daryl Reed, that said, "Nah, T, you got to start talking now." You know, so I've opened my mouth up now, and they're going to hear me, and the world going to feel me, and they're going to use me in a positive way. I would tell people, don't let people mislead you. The hood is a scam. People are a scam. Don't let people say you can be anything you want to be. No, you can't. It's not true. It's impossible. Okay? Certain people are made to do certain things, and God touched them. If you can slow down and listen to him and walk through faith and know your first mind, know what you're capable of doing. I will leave by saying this. You have to have a root before you can develop your branches to the tree. A lot of people are scattered. They're all over the place and don't even know what their root is. Once you develop a root to who you are, what you can do, if you ride it out and you're patient, but I'm going to say this one thing, you have to have talent, or you have to be able to be a professional manipulator. One of the two. Okay? You want to put your giraffe and put some shoes on and hit a couple of flip-flops in your videos, you can make it that way too, but that's not making it. You have to have talent in what you're trying to do, and you have to be the best in the world, not the best on your block, not the best in the city. You have to be the best in the world. Only 0.1% makes it. Please consider that. If you want wealth and you want sustainability, which means that we will know about you like Tony, anniversary plays, 30 years, 20 years. So I will ask you, what are you looking for? If you're looking for long-term stability, I'm a vault. If you're looking for a quick come up, if you're looking for a hustle, you're going to do just like brakes, that's grinding. You're going to wear down. You're not going to sustain it. You're going to make it quick money. So I let people pick their choice. I don't decide it for anybody. And I can leave with that.
That's awesome.
I can leave with that.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
And
you.
I look forward to getting a chance to talk to you again soon.
I'm in your life forever. It's no curfew on Karen, and I really believe that. But people do know, don't talk to me unless your head on right. Yeah.
And thank you for watching UMTV. We'll see you again soon.